going on, everybody? This is Abdullah Konte and Skylar Nelson of Win Sports, and we're here to talk again about the news of today. We have a couple announcements from the league or from the DC teams. The first one we're going to talk about is Eric Henderson hire, but we're also going to talk a little Wizards, which is something that we have not done on this show yet. We do cover the Wizards. Skylar writes on the Wizards every week, and I do attend games at the Wizards also as a photographer. And there was a big move today, big trade. We never really jumped into the Trae Young discussion, but this is kind of our opportunity to talk about just the moves that the Wizards are making overall as a whole. Big move today, obviously one that every sports fan in DC was talking about. But anyways, we'll talk about those. Skylar, how you doing? How's things been with you the last few weeks?
It's been good. Exciting times. There's been a lot, happening kind of in the journalism space and the sports media
Yeah.
space here in DC. It's an exciting time for sports, but it has been a time, I guess, for reflection for me, especially since, today was the day that the Washington Post kind of put out their statement about, journalists here in the DC area and the layoffs that they've had. It's a reflection kind of day for me.
Yeah.
Just, thinking about everything that's happened. I pray for those people and,
Yeah.
I hope
Absolutely.
that they can, figure it out some way, somehow.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad day for anybody who's a sports fan and one who's kept up with the Post. A lot of people who love sports grew up with the Post.
Yeah.
Sports journalism is different nowadays, and obviously we're here because of our love for this and want to continue to keep going. And so, obviously we ask for those to not only support us but support all the other outlets and all the people providing sports coverage. Obviously, we all are doing it because of the passion of sports, and we just hope you guys enjoy what we do. But yeah, it's a sad day for a lot of the people at the Post. We've been seeing people move on the last few months, and it's kind of crazy to see it happen. We just got to hope that we can continue on, and for those who maybe got let go today, find opportunities in some other medium, some other company, and they can keep going on with their dream of covering the beautiful sports in the DMV. So yeah, it is a tough day. Let's get on to some maybe better news. Obviously, the first thing we wanted to just quickly talk about is it's been a slow process of hiring new coaches for the Commanders. The last time me and you spoke on this platform was when we were talking about Durante Jones's hire. There really hasn't been much that's happened. There's been a lot of speculation about people who might join the squad and what are going to happen
Right.
to some coaches. Ryan Kerrigan got let go. Some other coaches got let go. We didn't know what was going to happen with Daryl Tapp. Apparently, we found out today that Daryl Tapp is going to be held on as the assistant role. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of fire. I think he's somebody that the team overall likes, not just the players, but obviously he's pretty close with DQ. But yeah, what do you take on the new hire? I mean, his name is Eric Henderson. He was coaching with the USC Trojans the last couple of years, but he also had 5 years with the Rams, where he actually was coaching with Aaron Donald, won a Super Bowl there. So, what's your take on it? I mean, he's only 43 years old. He's young. Are
Yeah.
you optimistic about the hire?
I think, it's kind of hard to tell so early on. As you can see, they're trying to, in terms of hiring, we've seen with the Commanders that it's very, you know, they're still being intentional. They're
Hmm.
still being intentional about who they hire. This is a guy that's coming in from USC, and he did have a stint with the Rams, like you said, but he's a guy that's also, been a defensive schemer, a defensive play caller in terms of, putting that team together as a defensive co-coordinator at USC, and also just to see the fact that he was able to mentor staple players that we look in this league today, like Aaron Donald.
Hmm.
That also, speaks some volume. Hopefully it's too early to tell in terms of coaching. I mean, obviously it's not as early to tell like with offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Those are different types of conversations, but as a D line coach, and then coming into the space, He's had that experience. He's been in the role before, so we just really just need to see what happens. But seems like a great resume. Seems like that he brings in that energy that they're looking for, and
Yeah.
hopefully we get to see that kind of display itself out on the field, right?
Yeah, he seems like a player's coach. He was also like the best recruiter in the nation, I guess,
Yeah.
apparently, which means that if people want to play for him, when it comes to, we've heard good things being said about him from Aaron Donald, but also, yeah, like if
Right.
the young kids want to play for him also, it just shows that there's something about this guy that brings unison and togetherness. And so they have the pass game coordinator with Durante Jones. This guy is going to be the run game coordinator. So you kind of have both sides of how they're going to play the defense.
Right.
Obviously there's a lot of hires still to come. Like you said, it is early. We don't know too much, and I think that's unfortunately maybe in my head the common theme about all the hires this year is it's all been guys that we just don't know a ton about. And granted,
Right.
when it comes to the position coaches, like you said, like you just are not really going to know a lot about position coaches overall. Like it's the reason why we didn't know much about Blau. Blau wasn't even an assistant, or I mean a position
Right.
coach. He was an assistant position coach. So we're going to learn a lot come training camp. And I think the biggest thing that I'm excited for is when they actually do talk to the press. It seems like it's possible it could be next week. I know that they're waiting to kind of get the full staff ready to go before they have these press conferences for the offense and defensive coordinator. But yeah, I mean, is there anything that you're hoping to hear from them before that time? Or are you just kind of like, we'll just wait and see what happens from here?
I'm kind of like at a point where we're just going to have to wait and see because, to be honest with you, we really won't know if their coaching kind of correlates until we see these players out on the field in
Sure.
execution, right?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of one of those moments where you wait and see, but, to carry on the philosophy, I guess if any words are to be said before
Yeah.
then, to carry
Yeah.
on the philosophy of kind of what the Commanders have been preaching and kind of what DQ has built in here, along with Adam Peters, is definitely something that I hope is reiterated. And
Yeah.
as long as obviously it's very too early on to hear any players' thoughts or players' feelings, but if that does come about, hopefully, we hear some good things about that. But, it's a new beginning. I feel like that there's a lot at stake this year. And hopefully last year hit them pretty hard to the point where they know that they can't go in the direction that they went last year.
Yeah. Now, basically we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's early to tell. We're excited.
Very early.
It's off
Yeah.
season. So like,
Plus,
go
we
ahead.
got to get through the Super Bowl first. That's
Yeah,
this Sunday, guys.
I mean, exciting. I mean, the game kind of is not the most exciting matchup, but I am excited to watch it.
Wait, what?
You think it's an exciting matchup? Like, I really don't see. I'm not really like super entertained
Are
by
you
either team.
serious,
I like
though?
Seattle's defense a lot. There, and I like JSN, and I hope Darnold plays well because it would be a really cool redemption story. I think the Patriots are kind of boring to me, and maybe it's just because they just were in the Super Bowl 6 years ago. I'm just not.
What?
I'm just not the. I don't know. I don't really the Patriots team. Like I like Drake May. It's not that I don't like Drake May. I just don't think that their team is very exciting. Like their style of play kind of just seems a little boring to me. But I mean, look, I love good football, so I'm excited to watch the game. I'm gonna be locked and loaded. Benito,
Wow.
he's gonna be
I'm
performing.
shocked to hear this from
Wait,
you.
why? Why is that so shocking? I mean,
Because
a lot of people are saying that
Seattle-
actually right now.
I'm gonna be honest. Seattle has been exciting from the
No,
start
Seattle.
to the finish
Yeah,
of this season.
I think Seattle's pretty exciting, but I don't
and the
think the other
Patriots,
team is.
as much as I hated them in the Tom Brady era,
Yeah.
because that was just like they was just killing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like to see where they're at now. Now Rabel, here and there, but to see where they're at now.
No, their story of how quickly
Wow.
they've reloaded is great. I just
Yeah.
it's just there's not like what exciting player on their team are you excited to see? Like I mean, Diggs, maybe Trayvon Henderson, maybe I don't know. I felt like there's been better. Like I would have loved to see. And I know you're going to be frustrated by me saying this, but I would have loved to see like Lamar in the championship or like
Okay.
Josh Allen in the championship. Like I think
Wait,
those would have been more
wait,
fun.
we're not getting into the Buffalo.
Okay, fine. Let's
We're not
stop.
getting into
Let's stop there.
Buffalo.
Look, we got other things
We're
to
not
talk about.
talking about Buffalo
We
today.
got other things to
That's
talk
a whole
about.
nother conversation.
Okay, look.
Whatever.
The Wizards. We're talking Wizards, which is crazy, right? Because we have not talked Wizards.
Yes,
We've
we
had
need to
reasons
talk
to
more
not talk
Wizards.
Wizards. We
Yes.
wanted to talk more Wizards, and here today is the reason for that. The Wizards had a major trade today, which was
Yes.
really exciting to see. I couldn't believe it when I saw it on my phone. And it's that they had a they had a trade with the Dallas Mavericks, where they had sent Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley the third, 2 first-round draft picks and 3 second-rounders to the Mavs, while getting Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum.
And they
And
still retain their draft picks, which
yeah, they
is
were saying all
crazy.
of their personal draft picks. All the picks that
Yep.
they sent were draft picks that they accumulated through
Yeah.
trades throughout the
Exactly.
time. So, like, look, it's been a mixed bag. We talked about it earlier, off air. Like, it's been a mixed kind of feeling of like, do people like these trades or not? Like, do they like the trade or not? I think that what they're trying to do, obviously, is accumulate guys that maybe are talented but haven't been great lately, maybe because of injury, and kind of reload and hopefully continue to keep that lottery pick this year and keep the tank
Yeah.
going alive so that they can get one of those top draft picks and kind of really bolster this team. I mean, look, I understand it's risky, but for me, it's like it's better than nothing. This team hasn't done anything in years. They haven't been successful in like real success in like 30 plus years. I haven't won more than 50 games. I think I heard in like 30 years. Like that's crazy. So what's your take on it? Because you seemed a little bit maybe not as enthused as I was when we were talking earlier, but I don't know if your feelings still say that.
I mean, okay, when I first saw the trade, I was kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked because I'm like, how did we get here? Like, right? Like, I was just at the Wizards game last night. We talked to Chris Middleton about like his future here and what he hopes for and his reflection being here at the Wizards. And obviously, anything can happen. This is a business, right? So, anything can happen. Trade deadlines at 3 p.m. tomorrow, you know. So it was a lot to kind of take in. I was like, wow. Like I knew in my head, I knew that guys like CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, these are guys that were here to build, kind of sustain a little bit of the younger core that they've already brought in, right? I
Yeah.
knew that
Yeah.
these guys were here on a temporary basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bagley, Bagley was a part of Marvin. He was a part of the original team that they kind of had for the last couple of years. It was kind of sad to see him go because he was very much so loved in DC, but there was definitely time for a change, of course. I
Yeah.
do feel like I do feel like Will Dawkins, this is a smart move on the Wizards' part because at the same time, as much as you want to build on this young core and sustain your draft picks, then also to use your team wisely. They've traded for players that can be a little frustrating to fans. They've traded for players that are injured per se or that have not played the best over the last couple years, which is what I have found a little bit questionable. But at the same time, in a business perspective, it seems like that the Wizards are trying to kind of tank on the season just a little bit. They're at the bottom of the Eastern League. They're in the bottom of the conference. They're trying to just ride the season out, allow their young guys to grow, and to continue to create opportunities for them. I feel like that's why Trae Young is here. Obviously he hasn't had the best of a scoring year like last year, but he's a guy that's led the league multiple times in assists. And when you look at players like that, it's like, okay, well, we have a young core who's ready to act on that scoring effect. And I feel like, for me, kind of looking at the roster, I was like, it's great to see these big names like Trae Young, Anthony Davis, but part of me was kind of like the injuries, the play production. Trae Young isn't a guy that was like very much so like talked about as much as like 3 years ago when the comparisons were being made of him being like Steph Curry and then Devin Booker being like a Kobe. Those conversations are no longer there. And then for Anthony Davis, injuries have been an issue. Even when after they won the championship in 2020 and from LA, and then when he was traded to Dallas. Those were issues. So I think what the Wizards are trying to do, and it's smart, it's a risk, but it's like at this point, take it.
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
risk because it's like you got to prey on these guys to be like, all right, next season, y'all are going to be healthy. You guys are going to help our young core out. You guys are going to be an impact. It's exciting because Anthony Davis has a huge fan effect in DC. It's exciting to see these players, coming here and, setting a new standard in DC with this young core. It's exciting on both ends, but there's still some question of, are these guys really going to be healthy next year?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the best thing about it is that like they didn't give up any of the guys that they're really relying on. Like, look,
Right.
I like AJ Johnson. He wasn't really getting run here, so like it kind of made sense that they let him go. Bagley, I think, is probably the one that probably hurts the most because Middleton was older. You kind of knew that wasn't going to last a long time, but like they kept Coulibaly, they kept Carrington, like you know what I mean. Like they kept all their
Right.
guys here. George, like they kept Trey
Yes.
Johnson. Like they didn't give up anything really, except for guys that they were like kind of testing around with. And
Yeah.
when it comes to the picks, like yeah, like for those some people I saw on Twitter that were like. And granted, look, my basketball knowledge is not as strong as my football knowledge. So, like, I was deep diving this trade to see, like, what made sense? Did this make sense for them? And you had people being like, oh, I had I saw some tweets about, like, oh, well, why are they trading away the future? Why are they going after it right now? And I'm like, you guys know they still got that pick for this year. Like there's
Yeah.
still the tank is still on. Like I don't know if any of these guys are really going to be playing much this year because they really do want to continue
Yeah.
to lose so that they can keep that. I mean, there's a reason why we might see Trae Young a few games.
We
this
may
year.
see a couple games.
We might not see much of him, we all understand that this is kind of how it goes, is that if you're not good enough to make the playoffs, you ideally want to be bad enough to get into, a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's kind of
Yeah.
seems like where they're going.
Well, and
with this.
that's my thing. My thing is that like when it comes to taking a chance, like I get it because look, Anthony Davis really hasn't been Mr. Glass. Like this guy cannot stay healthy at all,
Yeah.
right? But when he does play, he was really good.
He was
now,
really good.
we just don't know if he's ever going to be that. But like at the same time, it's not like they traded like half their team away to get Anthony
Yeah.
Davis. They got him. I mean, when you think about where this team was a couple years ago, when you're basically saying with Kuzma and Beal, they've been able to convert that to AD and Trae Young and a bunch of these young players, like I'll take that all day. Like, I mean, this
Yeah.
is one where, for me, like you said, like with Dawkins, with the front office at the Wizards, it makes me so excited to know that they're finally taking a chance on something because
Yes.
in the last, I've been covering them for like 5 years. It's been the same rinse and repeat kind of situation that's been just really boring. And the last 2 years have been just miserable. And so for them
Yeah.
to at least trying to do something, like if this fails, I'm cool with it because at least they tried something, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thing. It's like go after it, try a different thing, try a different method, and like I'm even cool with the tank because right now it's like, that's essentially what the NBA is like. Is you got to tank to get somebody. I hate tanking. I'm not a tank guy. Even during
Yeah.
the Commander season when people were talking about tanking, I don't really like tanking. But I also on the other end, I'm like, if they tank hard enough, they can maybe get this guy. You know what I mean? So. That's just where I'm at. So, look, my biggest thing is that if you had to look at it right now, do you truly believe it's going to work? Like, do you
I
truly
mean-
believe next year that they could be? Because ultimately, these guys need to be ready to go, and it could change. Their whole team can change by next year. Do you think next year that they're like at least a top 5 Eastern Conference team, or no?
Well,
Is it something where it's like they're just barely trying to get in the playoffs, or like what? What do you think?
Another thing that I've noticed about the Wizards too is it's like I will say like they're a team that's still learning how to play together. So
Sure.
there's still gonna be some challenges there in terms of that. Now, how quickly can Brian Keefe round up his squad? That's time will tell with that. But I do feel like if everybody stays healthy, if everybody stays committed to the plan, one thing that I really love about the Wizards and, fans, I understand fans are frustrated. Fans don't have patience. I get all of that. I get it. Because when I walk into Capital One Arena and I see the same banners and the most recent banner being the 2019 WNBA championship for basketball, I
Yeah.
understand. You know what I'm saying? I get it, you know? But it's like at the end of the day, one thing I will say about the Wizards that I love is that they are committed to this rebuild. They are committed to figuring out what works. And it's exciting. I feel like it's exciting, but there are some doubts and there are some worries, as there should be, in terms of injuries and, can players really show up in the way that we need them to. I feel like as a potential starting five, if they can put, Trae Young at the point guard position, move Trey Johnson to the shooting guard, and then have Keyshawn George at the forward position, and then Alex at the power forward, which what I love about Alex is, yes, Alex has been he's had a really great year. Great start to the year. He's been one of the top players on this team. And one of the biggest things that I've been able to see Alex in the paint is that not only can he rebound and get to his spots, but he can score.
Yeah.
And if bringing Anthony Davis in will allow Alex to score even more, but Anthony has the experience a little bit more inside of the paint. That would have worked yesterday against the Knicks, against Karl Anthony Towns, because against the glass, that just wasn't a matchup it was still new to Alex a little bit more, especially since, the Knicks, they are a team that is so advanced at where they're at, that they're trying to get to a playoff stretch, a run, like a long run. So it's like, those little things, I feel like, yes, Alex does need to learn how to play in that position, play in that spot. But if AD can come in and fulfill that spot and Alex can slide to the power forward, you are talking about a powerful kind of setup that they're building or establishing.
Well, yeah, like first, AD is going to be a good mentor to Alex Sarr as well. Like, I'm sure that it's going to be great for them to be playing together, being able to bounce information off each other. Like, look, Sarr is bigger. He's taller than Anthony Davis, but I agree that Anthony Davis should probably be the center and Sarr be the power forward. And I know you've mentioned George. George will play a integral part, but let's be real here. Whoever their top pick next year, he's probably going to take that 3 spot, whether it's the kid from BYU, if it's Peterson from Kansas, whatever. Like, one of these guys is probably going to be in that starting lineup. And, but that's when you look at it that way of, Trae Young, Trey Johnson, whoever the draft pick is, Alex Sarr, and then, Anthony Davis. How crazy is that in comparison to who the starting players were at the beginning of this season, right? Like, and the guys who were starting at the beginning of this season, they're not like shipped off to a different team. A lot of them are still on this team. Like having Koulibaly and Bub being able to come off the bench. I mean, they still have Cam Whitmore as well. Who's another player that I like. Like, there's
Cam's
some players.
Injured, though.
He is injured, but I'm talking about next year. That's the thing. The best thing about this is that we're not talking about this year. Like, this year don't matter. This year keep to be frank, keep sucking, like keep being bad. You know what I mean? Wow, that was crazy thing to say. Just keep being terrible, right? But like pause. Basically, definitely a pause. But just keep being terrible because the fact of the matter is that this team is reloading in the right way. And I've been like, there's a lot of people who've been saying masterclass from the front office, and I got to give them some love. I think that even if it doesn't work out, what they were able to kind of put together has been impressive because they had not a lot of pieces to work with. And now you're sitting here like, man, they got Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and you know what I mean? Like they got some guys on the team. So
everybody been texting me on Twitter, DC bat. I'm a Wizards fan now.
Well,
like,
look,
whatever.
you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I mean, honestly.
After yesterday's experience of the fact that, no, I get it. New York is close by. Loves Knicks fans down. Knicks love the Knicks. We love them down. However, for y'all to come into Capital One Arena the way that y'all did, booing the Wizards players, like the way Capital One Arena was set up yesterday.
Are you surprised? Because I was there for the Lakers game. I've been there for like when Steph Curry comes in and it's Lakers, West Coast teams will come in here and their fans will be booing the Wizards. And to be honest, there are some people who are all.
Fine. But for you to be louder than
I'm telling you, it happens all the time. And I hate to say this because no one wants that. And I think that for the people who are excited today, it's because there are DC Wizards fans that have been hardcore Wizards fans their whole life and have not seen any success. I heard
No, I get
Grant
that.
Paulson
I get
talking
that.
today about the last time they won over 50 games was 10 years before he was born. And I'm like, he's old. You know what I'm saying? So that means it was a long time ago, you know? Like, he said something like that.
I'm trying to put some positivity in here. That what I experienced yesterday, love Jalen Brunson, love the Knicks down. However, that was so disrespectful.
I'm telling you, that's the thing.
I'm telling you, like yesterday, like you would have thought that it was Madison Square Garden. That's how bad.
No,
it
look,
was.
the thing is that I'm telling you, and granted, you're right. It's like it's New York, it's close by. Like you're gonna get a lot of people who travel or whatever. But I've seen, I mean, look, the disrespect when the Wizards are here, or excuse me, the disrespect when the Lakers were here, the disrespect that I've seen when the Warriors are here. I've seen years of disrespect.
I haven't even seen the disrespect. I've been to the Wizards Warriors game. I didn't even see the disrespect there.
You must not have been paying attention. I'm telling you, there's been too many. Anytime there's a good player that comes, like I mean, even when Anthony Edwards comes from Minnesota, you got like so many fans there, and I think there are
fans now.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what gets me excited because like, look, as we're a local organization that covers local teams, and I will say there's some loyal Wizards fans have just been complaining for years about like, man, they're never gonna be good. Like I just can't wait for them.
That's the thing about DC sports right now.
No,
it's like DC sports is coming back, guys. It's it takes time. It takes a process, and thank God these teams have GMs and people that care, because
I mean, I will say that like that we felt that with the Commanders 2 years ago, and last year I know it didn't work out exactly the way people thought, but we'll see. Year 3 is coming, but it is nice to see that the same kind of things are happening with the Wizards also, that it looks like they finally got people making right decisions and going in the right direction, because what they've been able to do in these about 2 years of changes and trades and all that kind of stuff, it has me excited. It has a lot of people excited. And like I said, it's like, I don't even know if it's going to work. It's just exciting. It's exciting to know that there's some changes happening and they could be better and more competitive in years to come. So, that's pretty much it. I don't want us to go too far into this. Is there any last remarks or anything you want to say about the team and your excitement level, or anything about the Wizards or Commanders or anything that we talked about?
I mean, honestly, thank you guys for continuing to keep rocking with us.
Yep.
We have a lot of like new ideas on content and things that we've been thinking about. DC, the landscape of sports in DC is changing. It's changing for the better. Like RFK Stadium is going to be built in 2030. Yep. The Wizards are on the rise. We saw with the trade today. The Commanders are trying to make a comeback next season. The Caps, they're always a popular team to watch in DC. Of course, The Spirit got Trinity Rodman back. It's about to be a time. And then also, too, I told you about this the other day, Abdullah, like they're about to bring a women's professional volleyball team here in 2027. The draft is going to be here. It's a lot of things that's coming up that we are just so excited about, wanting to get a head start on, being there. And thank you guys for rocking with us on Twitter. I need to be better with Twitter. I will admit I have to be better with Twitter, with DMs, with posting on Twitter.
Man, she be ignoring y'all.
I was kind of afraid
y'all.
too.
That's crazy.
Like I'm gonna be honest. Like I still have to I'm new to Twitter. From this season. I did have Twitter last year. I was posting. When it came to the Commanders, it was my first year covering the Commanders, but I am trying to post more Wizard stuff on Twitter and Spirit and things like that. I'm trying, guys.
Well, I've
been so Commanders down when it comes to my job on Twitter that it's just like I gotta stop doing that. But I write about everything, guys.
I think and I think that's where we are going to be doing a better job of making sure we get her stories out and being seen, because she does write about everything. We are a local paper that covers everything. Now, you know, for those who are following us on this channel, it's been mostly football based and Commanders based. You know, obviously I'm a big football junkie, so I can talk football all day, but there's other sports that we do cover. You know, the Elite Eight is coming to DC this year for NCAA. You know, we cover Maryland women's basketball. Like, we cover a lot of different, Howard, Georgetown. We cover a lot of different teams. We do write about those as well. We're hoping that we'll have more different ways of you guys receiving different content here in the future, but everything is working out. But I agree. Thank you for rocking with us. We've seen a lot more support and love and engagement on this channel so far. And yeah, like, as much as we want to be able to cover Commanders or football, we're going to be trying to cover a lot of different things. It's a long off season, which means there's in season for a lot of these other teams. Also.
And WNBA season is around the corner, although the CBA has not been signed yet. We'll talk about that later.
Sure. But anyways, that's all. Thank you guys again for rocking with us. And if you like what you guys see or hear, feel free to like, subscribe, you know, send us a message if you guys have ideas or feedback or anything like that. Or if you want to join the conversation, feel free to, you know, drop some comments down below. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.